Hey everybody, it's Norman Douglas. I'm an attorney and partner with the Accident Recovery Team. Today we're going to talk a little bit about auto accidents and your insurance coverage for those accidents, specifically wage loss. Underneath your auto policy, you have a provision called PIP, which stands for Personal Injury Protection Benefits. Within that PIP portion of your policy, there is some coverage for medical expenses, essential services, and also wage loss. The minimum policy in Kansas provides to you $900 a month for wage loss. So if you make $50,000 a month, your auto insurance is going to pay you $900 because that's the policy you purchased. If you make $500 a month, then your auto policy is going to pay you either 80-85% depending upon what your policy dictates. That's important. There are many times when people get in an auto accident and they can't work. Regardless of what type of job they're doing, their doctor takes them off of work. When you have that, when you get taken off of work, you're not going to have any income coming in. And so it's important for you to ensure that your PIP policy covers what you need it to cover. There are multiple levels of wage loss within PIP. The minimum, like I said, is $900 a month. Yeah, I think you can get a $1,200, $1,500, even a $1,700 policy. And so you need to choose whichever one is right for you. You need to talk to your insurance agent about that and lift that policy limit up if it's something that you could use. Also on wage loss, you have to prove that you have wage loss to the other side, the person at fault. Your PIP policy is going to pay wage loss with employer verification, a doctor taking you off. Normally, if it's a day or the day of the accident, your insurance company is probably not going to require much except for your medical bill saying that you were at the hospital. But when you make that ultimate claim to the person at fault, they're going to need actual verification of how long you were off. So you do that two ways. Number one, you do it with a doctor's note taking you off of work, and then you do it with an employer verification. And so if you work for a normal company, as in not self-employed, what you would do is you would get a doctor's note saying, we're going to take you off work for 10 days, for instance. That doctor's note combined with your employer verification stating, yes, he or she works here, this is how much she makes, this is how much she would work in a 10-day time frame. Those two documents together then prove your wage loss that you were off for 10 days. And then again, your PIP policy would pay either that $900 or 80 or 85%. And then when we submit that claim to the other side, then they would be, if they're 100% at fault, then they would be responsible for that entire wage loss. Sometimes there's special circumstances in your wage loss that need more documentation, such as overtime, such as I work special events. For those items, you really need to have an employer state or give you a letter saying these are the special events or these are the overtime hours that he or she would have had if they were working. But because they were taken off work because of this loss, they couldn't work that, and so therefore you prove the rest of that, the wage loss for those special events and or overtime hours. Another special circumstance sometimes is self-employment. If you're self-employed, it's kind of hard sometimes to prove that wage loss. So you're going to need invoices, you're going to need your past tax returns, you're going to need all of that stuff in order to prove that I make X amount a month. The insurance companies are going to dictate that you give them something to prove that you make so much a month, however much you're claiming. Sometimes self-employed individuals can run into a problem if they don't file taxes correctly. That's an issue. You have to, because the insurance company is going to look at those prior taxes to determine what you've made previous years. Clearly, if it's a new business and you just started that this year and you haven't filed taxes, then you're going to need invoices or you're going to need something to prove how much you make. So, to sum this up, if you get in an auto accident or have some other injury and a doctor takes you off of work, even though sometimes your employer may not require it, you still need to get a doctor's note taking you off of work for a specified amount of time. And then if you have an attorney, we get the wage loss verification from your employer to prove that you were off of work so that we can get you paid for lost wages. If you have any questions, give us a call at 267-TEAM or go on the website at www.267team.com. Find us on Facebook, everywhere else. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.